So you want to make a change, but you don't know where to start. Or maybe you know where to start, but you don't know how to start. Maybe you got started, but you're struggling to stay consistent. If this sounds like you, come in close. What's up, y'all? My name is Nigel Fuller, and I help overwhelmed professionals get unstuck in their lives by identifying their roadblocks, reframing their thinking, and developing sustainable habits that allow them to live a life with greater focus, confidence, and fulfillment. And I do that through a structured 3-step process where I take you from scattered, indecisive, and unmotivated to focused, self led, and purpose driven, right? And the goal is not to give you a temporary boost of confidence, right? That's going to run out eventually. I want to help you become a person who consistently does what's necessary to create the life you want. So, some of the things you might be experiencing is a lack of focus, low energy, brain fog, anxiety, and procrastination. If this sounds like you and you want help, you can use the link down in the description below to book a call where we'll basically go over everything that we need to go over so I can see if we're a good fit for each other. Now, I want to make sure that we use our time intently because time is valuable, yours and mine. So please be mindful of that. Thanks, guys. Take care. Today, I'm going to give you 3 steps you can take to become the person who does the work so you can have what you want in life. That way, you don't feel overwhelmed by your circumstances. But before that, I want to kind of reframe your thinking on the word decide. See, most people think about a decision and choice as the same thing. They use or they think that a choice is synonymous with how do you say decisions, right? Or decide. And that's not the case. I'll give you an example. You go into an ice cream shop and you have choices, right? Different flavors, you can choose from that. That is a choice. But when you decide something, a decision means to cut yourself off from the potential or the possibility of failure, right? Now that you have that thinking, I'm going to give you an example of what a decision is. Let's say you are a deep sea diver, you find a cave, and this is a place that you might frequent. And for a while, you've had your eye on this cave, and you're just like, man, I get in there, I gotta see what's going on. Like, what's this about? I want to explore this cave, right? So you go into the cave, you make that decision right there. You decide, you know what? I'm going into this cave, and no matter what, I'm going to see it through. I'm going to make it to the end. And no matter what happens, I'm gonna stick to my decision, right? Sorry, I got my notes here. So you go into the cave, halfway through, you notice that your oxygen tank is halfway. You got to sit, you've been swimming for a little while, and you got 2 options here. You can keep going and stick and commit to the decision that you made, right? Or you can turn around. Now that's a dicey situation because now you have to have that resolve to do this, to follow through. And it can be scary. It feels like, your feet aren't on the ground. You're not planted. You don't have a foundation. But the reality is you have to follow through no matter what, because it was a decision that you made. You swim all the way through. You come out of the water and you find this beautiful, luminescent, crystal filled cave, and it's just got all the most beautiful gems you can possibly think of. And there's a treasure chest there. Oh my, right? Now, you look a little bit further, and there's even a path out of the cave to the surface. What were we worried about, right? Isn't that amazing? Now, do you think you would have been able to see that had you decided instead of holding, right? Instead of committing, instead of having the resolve to actually follow through, I'm gonna turn around. I got cold feet. I'm gonna stick to this. I'm not saying go deep sea cave diving and all that stuff. Don't do any of that. I don't. Listen, you can't even get me into a large body of water. I just want to be very honest with you. That's a situation that and I don't think that's gonna be a consistent thing. I'm gonna figure it out, but I'm gonna trust it. Whatever the case, I'm sharing this because I want you to understand that on the other side of the work you keep procrastinating on, right? On the other side of the the decision you have not made, the commitments you haven't stuck to, is all of the things you want out of life. And if you just walk take a few steps. Just go in that direction, right? Don't sit there and procrastinate and think about it and dream about it. Don't wait for the motivation, right? Because that's a fleeting thing. But I'm here to tell you there are ways that you can get your body to actually give you a state of perpetual motivation, right? You have to create that. But you got to do the work. You got to get up and you got to move. So I'm going to get into the 3 steps. So the first step that I have here in my notes is changing the state by changing the body, right? What do I mean by that? You got to get into some sort of like fitness. I don't know what you prefer, but you need something that's going to help you to move. First thing you can do is maybe join a gym, hire a trainer. You can get into a boxing gym. You can take up martial arts. I love martial arts. I've done both boxing and martial arts. Very fun. I've done fitness with some friends as well. So I was able to develop my own routine. I have a history in health and wellness for at least 10 plus years. So I can incorporate that knowledge as well as isometrics and things like that to kind of get what I want out of these fitness routines, right? But you have to do something. You have to start moving, right? And what that's going to do is you're going to notice it's going to start to change your mind and how you start to see things. And that brings me to my next point, which is you have to do this consistently, right? Develop disciplinary acts to form healthy habits, right? What do I mean when I say this? Well, notice if you have a routine and you have a maybe a 5-day routine, like I have 5 days. I have 3 heavy days and then 2 light days, right? And I stick to it, even if I don't want to, right? Like I can't lay down unless I've done set amount of push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, crunches. Like that is just there's a big solid no. Like do keep this in mind. A decision to cut yourself off from the possibility of failure, right? That is a commitment. That is a commitment. So when you decide, you know what, I'm going to get in shape. That wasn't a choice. You didn't tell yourself, hey, I'm going to do this or whatever. Like, no, you made a decision. You got to get up and you got to be the person who can do it. So you got to move, right? Now, that develops discipline. If you can do something consistently over a long period of time, you have now become disciplined. You can do that thing. It's no longer a tedious task. You can just get up and go and do it. And now you have that extra mental energy so that you can put it into other things because now you're not using extra resources to do something that you're in the process of mastering, right? You're developing yourself. Now, let's see, what's the next step? That ties into, and do keep in mind, you got to stay consistent. This brings me to my final step, right? So out of the 2 steps, you have change the state or pick a fitness routine. Second step, build your discipline, which will help you to build new habits, right? And the final step is confidence. Your confidence comes from consistency within your discipline. So if you can do something for a long enough period of time, you'll see that your confidence improves from that. Why is that? Well, I have a quote from Myron Golden, and I love this quote. And it's really interesting because it's like probably something very simple for a lot of people, but I think it's very valuable. And he said, you are the only person who's ever heard every lie you've ever told yourself. Or sorry, you're the only person who's ever heard every lie you've ever told, right? And what that meant for me was every promise I've ever made that I didn't keep, regardless of whether I could keep it or not, right? That's what, I couldn't keep the promise because this happened, right? Okay, cool. Every time I said, hey, I'm going to show up at this place at this time, and I was like 15 minutes late, I might have showed up, but I was still late, right? Obviously, you communicate that to people if some sort of inconvenience happens, right? Life happens, especially in New York City. I live in New York. It happens. You can get on the train. This is the only place where you can get on the train early and still end up late. And then you can get on the train late and end up early. I don't understand it. This is not a real place. Whatever, right? But you are the only person who's ever heard every lie you've ever told, right? That means the voice, you are hearing yourself. You're training yourself to either believe in yourself or doubt yourself. And every time you don't stay consistent, every time you fall short of that decision you made, that promise you made, because whenever you make a promise to another person, you're making that promise to yourself as well. So if you get trapped in any of your decisions and you can't follow through, you have to be transparent with that person and yourself. But don't make a decision you can't keep. That's the easiest. Like before even getting to the point where you say, like, damn, I don't want to do that anymore, right? How many times we say, yeah, I'm gonna go outside and I'm gonna hang out with friends. You were in a good mood when you made that promise, or you made that decision. Then you get home, you go to sleep, the day unfolds or whatever, and it's just like you got 2 hours, maybe 2 hours and a half until you're supposed to meet everybody. You're like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Like I'm laughing because I've done that so many times, right? But now I know if I say, hey, what time are we meeting? Right? If it's a group thing, what time are we meeting? Oh, I'm gonna be there. All right, listen, I'm gonna be there at this time. I'm gonna wait for you guys. And I do it, right? If I tell myself I'm gonna be up by 9 o'clock and I'm gonna do my workout routine, right? And I stay consistent with it, it helps me tremendously. Why? Because the person that's hearing all of this is me. So if I stay consistent with what it is I'm telling myself, that will eventually and inevitably build the confidence I have within myself, which helps me to build my identity anew and become the person that I deserve to be. You deserve to be this person. Why wait? Right? No one's gonna do it for you. No one's gonna come out of the sky and say, "My child, I'm just gonna live the life for you and make you this amazing person." No one's gonna do that. It has to be you. So you have to get up. You have to get active. You have to get moving. You have to have some sort of discipline. You have to basically stick to that. And another quote from Myron Golden, I love this one. That man is amazing. Y'all gotta tune into his work, right? So something he said is, all work works, right? So he said, if the work is not working for you, it's working on you so that you can become the person that it works for, right? So if I start a business and I tell you, hey, you know, I can get you a six pack in 40 days or something like that. But I've never done a sit up. I've never done a crunch. I've never done, any type of core based workout. And I don't even have a six pack, let alone any pack, right? I mean, you got a two pack. I just got jelly rolls or something like that, right? You're not gonna trust me, right? So I can't fast track my way to the outcome. I have to work my way through. And here's the beauty about that. It's so fun. It is so fun. You feel amazing in the process of doing what it is you know you have to do to have the outcome you seek. It gives life fulfillment, right? And I don't think there's a better feeling than being fulfilled. So take the time, do the work, but before any of that, you sit there and you look at your situation, you make a decision, and then you commit to that. So you have to marry that decision. You have to stick through it and do what you have to do. You have to have the resolve to do it, right? Swimming through a cave at half an oxygen tank, you gotta have resolve. What? I don't even know if I can get back. I got to have the resolve to actually stick to this. So what happens is you have to stick to this. You have to make a decision, commit to your decision, and have the resolve to see it all the way through, even if it doesn't look like what you want is happening right now. Just keep doing the work. And if you stick to it, I promise you, you're going to 10x your life, right? Most people say I can 10x your income and 10x this and 10x. Okay, you're going to 10x your life, right? One of the most important things in life is health. If your health is not good, how can you enjoy the money? How can you enjoy your children or your nieces, your nephews, or your grandbabies? You can't because your body won't even move the way you want it to. So the best thing to start with is the body. You have to change the state you're in, the limiting beliefs, the stories that you're telling yourself. And it's a step-by-step process. But all work works. Get busy, do the work, stay active. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Take care.